Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The Matrix.
Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself.
Out of these troubled times, our fifth objective, a new world order. We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. It is a big idea, a new world order. Now we can see a new world coming into view, a world in which there is the very real prospect of a new world order. And that's why I wanted to speak to you today about the new world taking shape around us, about the prospects for a new world order now within our reach.
You believe deeply in your system, and we believe just as deeply in our system. It is not our common beliefs that have brought us together here, but our common interests and our common hopes. The interest that each of us has to maintain our independence and the security of our peoples, and the hope that each of us has to build a new world order.
Don't think. It might get you killed. It's also seditious. You know, it's funny, I was watching an adaptation to the George Orwell masterpiece 1984 late last night, and that's exactly what they were talking about, thought crime. Don't think, just take in the propaganda, which today is the modern mainstream media that is used to control everything that we do, control our behavior, control our output. You know, we're slaves, and in order to better understand that relationship that we have with our slave master, we need to think about what's really happening from the perspective of the plantation owner. You know, how do you keep a slave down? How do you keep control of your slave? Well, primarily, you do it through fear. But more importantly, you convince your slave and you educate your slave from a very early age as they come up in the slave system, and you teach them that they are a lower rung and a lower part of society. You dehumanize them. You dehumanize your enemy. It's the same thing with war. You know, don't talk to your enemy. Don't realize that these are real people, that this is humanity, that we're all brothers and sisters. No, go and kill the Japs, you know, as we did during World War II, or, you know, go and kill the Vietnamese during Vietnam, or go now and kill Middle Easterners in Iran or Syria. There's a reason that the education system in the United States is so poor. In fact, we don't even compare that well to other advanced economies around the world, and there's a reason for that. It's because they want it that way. They want us dumbed down. They want us drinking the fluoride water. They want us diseased. They want us to have cancer. They want us to rely on the Pfizers and Mercks of the world to supply us with psychotropic drugs to control how we behave, to control our actions, to control our lifestyle. And what's very important and how it differs from Orwell's masterpieces, he shows this totally detached, barren, war-fought world. This beaten down world of poverty. See, they've one-upped that. They've done even a better job than that. They've given us the illusion that we're actually happy with our lives. They've given us the illusion that we're actually content with our day-to-day, going to work for our slave masters. They've actually sold us the idea that you're free, that we're free, that we have freedom of choice. You see, we really don't have freedom, and we all need to ask ourselves, do we really want it?
I was watching the towers, and though I wasn't the closest, I saw them crumble to the earth like they were full of explosives. And they thought nobody noticed the news report that they did about the bombs planted on the George Washington Bridge. 4 non-Arabs arrested during the emergency, and then it disappeared from the news permanently. They dubbed the tape of Osama, and they said it was proof. Jealous of our freedom, I can't believe you brought that excuse. Rocking our motherfucking flag don't make you a hero. Back to ground zero. The devil crept into heaven. God overslept on the 7th. The new world order was born on September 11th.
1984 is, I believe, a quite terrifying masterpiece. So terrifying, in fact, I don't think I should like to read another like it.
I am not absolutely dissatisfied with it. I think it is a good idea, but the execution would have been better if I had not been under the influence of TB when I wrote it.
You once claimed that you have an ability to face unpleasant facts. Is that what you've demonstrated in 1984 by drawing an accurate portrait of the future?
I think that allowing for the book being, after all, a parody, something like 1984 could actually happen. This is the direction the world is going in at the present time. In our world, there will be no loyalty except loyalty to the party. But always there will be the intoxication of power. Always, at every moment, there will be the thrill of victory, the sensation of trampling on an enemy who is helpless. If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. The moral to be drawn from this dangerous nightmare situation is a simple one. Don't let it happen. It depends on you.
Here. Ow! Listen. I wonder, do you understand what I'm talking about? I'm not talking about burning down a building. It's coming from the soul. Disco fire!
I'm going to break a rule now. You mentioned 9/11. Basically, in public, I don't talk about it because it makes you such an easy target for abuse and false charges of anti-Semitism and everything, doesn't it?
I've certainly noticed that.
Yeah, so basically, I have stayed away from it because it gives them a focus to take the attention away from your main message. But since you've raised it, I'll tell you what I honestly believe.
To my surprise, listen, 100 stories high, people are getting loose, y'all. They're getting down on the roof. Look here.
I think it probably started out as an all-Muslim operation, okay? But I think it would have been very quickly penetrated by Mossad agents. Now, it's not a secret. I detail it in my book. From almost the moment Israel was born, it had its agents penetrating every Arab government, every Arab military organization, and every Arab terrorist group, whatever. So they would certainly have penetrated this. And my guess is at an early point, they said to the bad guys in the CIA, hey, this operation's running, what do we do? And the Zionists and the neocons said, let's use it. Now, what is true and what is false, I believe, is beyond that, is not arguable. The towers, the Twin Towers, were brought down by a controlled ground explosion, not the planes. Now, I tell you in passing that among the friends I have are consultants who work for the world's leading civil engineering and construction firm. I'm not going to name it, but they have studied the film for me, and they have said there is absolutely no doubt whatsoever that the planes were brought down by a the towers were brought down by a controlled ground explosion. And then we have the film of what is sometimes called the Five Dancing Israelis. Are you aware of that, Kevin?
I certainly am. Yes, they were celebrating the attacks. Apparently they had set up the film even before the planes hit, and they were high-fiving and taking pictures of each other, flicking cigarette lighters in front of the towers.
But the point is they all had mobile phones, right?
That's right.
Now, they were initially reported as being Muslims. Are you aware of that?
Middle Easterners, I guess, is the code.
All right.
For
okay, Middle Easterners. But the impression was that they were Muslims. They were the bad guys.
Right.
So the FBI gave chase, and these five guys, they tried to avoid being arrested. But they were eventually caught, and they were arrested. And guess what? They were all Mossad agents.
That's right. That was confirmed by the forward.
Oh yeah. No, that's fact. So it opens a speculation. What were they doing there?
Hello, Mr. Bond.
We know we're under attack! We know it! We're breaking the conditioning! Ah! Ah! We're coming for you, globalist! Ah! Coming for you! Coming for you! Welcome, Mr. Bond.
The New World Order, which is deadly. It's full of what you call people who are criminals. Well, this is what I'm coming to. It's full of criminals, etc., who seek to run the world and will kill anybody who gets in their way. And you are almost, have been, a lone crusader powering against them. No, so, how are you still alive?
Why am I alive?
Which is the explanation? One, they don't exist. Or two, you're part of the conspiracy.
No, let me tell you a story.
I think it's about time people just accept the fact that Alex Jones really is a shill for Israel. Let me just say that this is a guy who claims Muslim Arabs run Hollywood and fit into the globalist agenda. Okay, this is a guy who, for the most part of the last 10 years, has been defending Israel consistently. Now, why would he do that? Well, let's keep playing the video.
That has made me see it more via the Israeli perspective. So, if I'm for something, I'll be proudly for it. There's no arterial motives here.
I would beg to differ. There is clearly an ulterior motive, but let's continue.
I mean, I'm very naked about what I do. Everybody knows it.
Yeah, just like when he went to court and his lawyer said that he was a performance actor. It's also been revealed that InfoWars employs a very large amount of its staff. Well, a lot of them have CIA backgrounds or worked for Time Warner. Funny that.
And I'm pragmatically trying to look at this, but then the anti-Israel crowd doesn't do themselves any favors in that they're not fair or reasonable or accurate about what they say about people in the coverage of Israel. It's kind of like liberals. Accept their ideology or you're a Nazi.
So he's basically comparing anti-Zionists to liberalism. Like, really? really.
Accept our ideology or you're a Israeli shill. Accept our ideology. All these groups want to bully you that we're going to call you this big power name. We're going to call you an Israeli shill that supposedly has all this power if you don't do what we want. Well, then I am an Israeli shill. There you go.
One more time, please.
If you don't do what we want, well, then I am an Israeli shill. There you go. It's not true, never been to Israel, but if it makes you feel powerful, if that takes your power word away, I'll do it. It's the same thing.
And it's not just this one instance, really. You only need to look at any of his videos, really. Just type in Israel into the search, or Palestine, or basically anything about Islamists or Hollywood. And you'll see very quickly, unless you have mental problems or you're very new in the truther community, you'll see very quickly that this man 100% supports Zionism. People need to understand that Zionism is more than just Jewish nationalism.
Yo, I got guns, I'll hurt y'all, take you down, I'm a dangerous thug. Yeah, of course I can hear you, I just went to you. It was a summer of heaven, winter of hell.
Goodbye, Mr. Bomb.
I know I'm evil, but I try to be good, and I hope God forgives me.
Did you miss me? Did you miss me?
Great speech, Oswald.
My name is not Oswald! It's Penguin! I am not a human being! I am an animal! Cold-blooded! Crank the AC! Where are my lists? Bring me the names! It's time! These are the names of the firstborn sons of Gotham City! Just like I was! And like me, a terrible fate waits for them! Tonight, while their parents party, they'll be dreaming away in their safe cribs, their soft beds, and we will snatch them, carry them into the sewer, and toss them into a deep, dark, watery grave.
What did you do to Marianne?
Free will. It's like butterfly wings. Once touched, you never get off the ground. No. I only set the stage. You pull your own string.
What did you do to Marianne?
A gun? Yeah? God damn it! What did you do to my wife? Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most depraved act of sexual theater known to man, 1 being your average Friday night run-through at the Lomax's household, I'd say, not to be immodest, Marianne and I got it on at about 5. Fuck you! Got me! Got me! Yes! Wow! Oh, yeah! Yeah! Step on up, son! Come on, that's good! You gotta hold on to that fury!
You better find yourself someplace to hide and keep praying nobody ever finds you.
Try these on.
Look, you crazy mother.
Put these on.
Hey! Stay away from me!
I'm telling you, you dumb son of a... I'm trying to save you and your family's life.
You couldn't even save your own!
I'm giving you a choice. Either put on these glasses or start eating that trash can.
Do you know how the orcs first came to be? They were elves, taken by the dark powers, tortured and mutilated, a ruined, terrible form of life. Now, perfected by fighting Uruk-hai. Whom do you serve?
killing stupid children. Isn't that a little,
Okay. It's all in good fun, all in good fun. Here's some games here, and there's... Get out! Get out! Here's in my chair. Here's some games. Games you want to get out. Games that expensive types. If you play the games, you're voluntarily taking a tranquilizer. I guess they give you some chemical restraints, huh? Drugs! What'd they give you? Dorsey? Haldol? How much? Learn your drugs, know your doses. It's elementary. You want to make a telephone call. Telephone call. That's communication with the outside world. Doctor's discretion. Hey, all of these nuts could just make phone calls. They could spread insanity oozing through telephone cables, oozing to the ears of all these poor, sane people, infecting them. Wackos everywhere, plague of madness. Very few of us here are actually mentally ill. I'm not saying you're not mentally ill. For all I know, you're crazy as a loon. But that's not why you're here. That's not why you're here. That's not why you're here. You're here because of the system. There's the television. It's all right there. All right there. Look, listen, kneel, pray. Commercials. Productive anymore, at least to make things anymore, it's all automated. What are we for then? We're consumers. Okay, buy a lot of stuff, you're a good citizen. But if you don't buy a lot of stuff, if you don't, what are you then, I ask you? What? Mentally ill. Back, Jim, back. If you don't buy things, toilet paper, new cars, computerized blenders, electrically operated sexual devices, stereo systems with brain-implanted headphones, screwdrivers, miniature built-in radar devices, voice-activated computers.
Take it easy, Jeffrey. Be calm.
Right? That's right. You're a very attractive woman.
You think I'm crazy? No. If I say I'm not crazy. But that hardly helps, does it? That's the Kafka's genius of it. People tell the world you're crazy, but all your protests to the contrary just confirm what they're saying. I'm not following you, I'm sorry. Once you're declared insane, then anything you do is called part of that insanity. Reasonable protests or denial. Valid fears. Paranoia.
Survival instincts are defense mechanisms.
You're smarter than you look, Marshall. That's probably not a good thing.
Tell me something.
Yeah.
What happened to you?
I started asking about these large shipments of sodium amytal and opium-based hallucinogens.
Psychotropic drugs.
I asked about the surgeries, too. How's your head?
You enjoy God's latest gift?
What?
God's gift. To violence. When I came downstairs in my home and I saw that tree in my living room, it reached out for me a divine hand. God loves violence.
I hadn't noticed.
Sure you have. Why else would there be so much of it? It's in us. It's what we are. We wage war and we burn sacrifices and pillage and plunder and tear at the flesh of our brothers. And why? Because God gave us violence to wage in His honor.
I thought God gave us moral order.
There's no moral order as pure as this storm. There's no moral order at all. There's just this. Can my violence conquer yours? I was to sink my teeth into your eye right now, would you be able to stop me before I blinded you?
Give it a try. Einstein, now he was nuts. He was a fruitcake, Jim. He
If I was all that stood between you and a meal, you would crack my skull with a rock and eat my meaty parts. Wouldn't you?
Now, you have friends who eat like pizza and they eat cheese and meat and stuff, right?
Yeah, my friends make meat.
What do you understand that? Do you understand why they like that kind of food?
Yeah, I guess they were born that way. And they're addicted to it.
Good answer.
And then I know some kids that don't want to eat meat, they have to because of their parents.
Right, forced to. If there's one thing you want to say to the world about being vegan, what would it be?
It's healthy and it's ethical. And we never get sick.
To give yourself a new label and that, I'm a vegetarian, I'm a vegan. And when you do that, you've been eating one way your whole life, and just go cold turkey, pun intended, vegan, whatever. You'll often slide back or just say forget it altogether. So it's more of a process than a transition to go from eating dead corpses and chicken periods regularly to saying, I'd rather not eat a chicken for menstruation, I'd rather not kill animals and eat their corpse, and then to start finding that fruits, vegetables, grains, legumes, nuts and seeds, when you have a diet composed mainly or only of those, you start feeling a lot better, start to detox all this other crap. You get a lot more energy, get a lot more clear-headedness, you don't have to sleep as long. I'm a bodybuilder. I've actually put on more muscle since I stopped eating meat. I can't think of a single disadvantage to going vegan unless you're doing it wrong.
Hemp seeds contain more protein by weight compared to meat or fish.
Vitamin B12 is not naturally found in animals. In fact, a lot of animals are given B12 supplements. So when you eat that animal, you're only getting its recycled vitamin B12 supplement. Microorganisms, primarily bacteria, are the only known organisms that manufacture B12. These bacteria often live in bodies of water and soil.
There is no such thing as humane when it comes to meat, cheese, milk, and eggs. Humane slaughter, humane rape, humane slavery, humane holocaust do not exist. And if for some reason my aforesaid words in the video we just watched aren't proof enough of the terrorism claims that I am levying against the meat, dairy, and egg industries, I don't know, maybe the billions of dead, dismembered animal bodies could count as proof.
Russell Brand spends time with a tiny fan. Our cameras captured Russell Brand being super sweet to a shy little girl in New York this morning. The Arthur star squatted down in his tight blue pants to pose for a picture with her.
Jimmy?
Yes.
So, Jimmy, this is Russell Brand. I'm sorry to interrupt your meal, but
You're not interrupting my meal, Russell, because to talk to a megastar like you is an honour and a pleasure.
Have you been well? I miss you. You're going to start doing Jim Will Fix It again, aren't you?
No, it finished last Thursday. I did 40 shows.
Wow.
It finished last Thursday, and I'm sitting here with a beautiful lady who can't believe that I'm talking to the one and only, supposedly, Russell Brand.
It'd be very nice to meet you one day, Mr. Jimmy Savile, just, you know.
If you've got a sister, you could meet me by bringing her along.
I mean, I haven't got any sisters, but...
I don't usually meet fellas, but if you've got a sister, that's okay.
I've got a personal assistant called Marsha, and part of her job description is that anyone I demand she greets, meets, massages, she has to do it. She's very attractive, Jimmy.
Well, that's a good start.
What kind of
start? You could send her along to do some research.
Would you like her to wear anything in particular, Sir Jimmy?
I'd actually prefer her to wear nothing.
Right. So you want Marsha, my assistant, to meet you naked? Okay. Well, that's not going to be a problem.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that, Jimmy. It's just
the last time I spoke like this was to Father Christmas.
Jimmy, it's been divine of you to talk to me in this restaurant. Thank you very much. I wonder, would you pass on my best wishes to your beautiful dinner companion, and perhaps you'd consider coming on the show again in the future?
Who knows? I'm always available, and my beautiful dinner companion will have to remain secret because she is of outstanding beauty. And as such, if you saw her, you would lust after her.
Particularly if I saw her with you, because that just heightens the sexuality of the situation. Thinking
No, I'm not into threesomes.
I was aware of the rumours about Jimmy Savile. I was also aware of rumours about other people. There was a culture, and it was a generational thing. In areas of light entertainment, behaviour was tolerated. I feel the reason why these women never came forward before was nobody would have believed them, because Jimmy Savile raised so much money for charity, and he used the money that he raised for charity as a bargaining power to buy silence from national newspapers. And if ever there was a time when someone might have blown the whistle on him, he would threaten those newspapers and those reporters that charity money would not go to those hospitals. And I know a female journalist that went to interview him that said straight away, I was really uncomfortable. His behaviour was totally inappropriate.
Well, what do you think? Do you think someday you're going to settle down and have some kids?
Oh, I want children so much. I really want children. I get on really well with other people's children. I'm looking after a 6-year-old girl from England at the moment. We're having a fine time together.
Good for you. Okay, so you'd like to have children
I love
one day.
children so much. I feel very, very happy. What I like about the children is, you see, when we grow up, we're gradually civilised. They chip away at our magic. They make us conform. They condition us. But children, all of them, they radiate such purity and such fun and such joy. And that's why I think we're here on the planet, is to have this fun. And that slow process of civilization, reducing the magic of them, conforming all of us into one homogenized unit of civilization. I'm against it. I love the children.
You like the children. What a speech!
Without Satan's stamp of approval. So many of you people today have these degrees, have these diplomas, and the world is in shambles. Your world is in shambles. People are starving. People are dying of diseases that you can't cure, but yet you're so educated. You can't come up with plans to eliminate hunger, to eliminate homelessness, to stop war in your world, because your world is a lie and it's crumbling. You think of yourself as an academic. An academic, somebody who's learned what another liar has taught you, and you're just teaching what he taught you.
This system is controlled by what I call repeaters. They're people in the situations of power and influence who just repeat what someone else tells them. A doctor is repeating what they were told at medical school and what the drug companies tell them. You've got teachers who repeat what they learned in their exams and what they learned at teacher training college, and they repeat that to the next generation. And the great repeaters are what pass for journalists. This is that area outside Parliament where they stand there doing their pieces to camera, telling people what's going on. Here we have the crews waiting for the journalists to come across from Westminster and stand there and tell them what's happening in the world. The fact is, they don't know what's happening. They know nothing.
Now, Hugh, are you going to do the right thing? Are you going to admit to this publicly?
Are you, what? No, are you mad? I can't do that. That mustn't happen. I need you to...
What, to lie?
I think it was Derrida who said there is no such thing as actual empirical truth.
I'll tell you what Derrida said. He said, go fuck your face, Abbott.
You need to mind your language. I just will keep getting you into trouble.
You know something, man? I know something that you don't know. That's right, Jack. The man is clear in his mind. His soul is mad. Oh, yeah. He's dying, I think.
He hates all this. He hates it.
But the man's
read the poetry out loud, all right?
And a voice.
We got you because you're still alive. He's got plans for you. No. I'm not gonna help you. You're gonna help him, man. You're gonna help him. I mean, what are they gonna say, man, when he's gone? Because he dies when he dies, man. When he dies, he dies. What are they gonna say about him? What? They're gonna say he was a kind man. He was a wise man. He had plans, he had wisdom. Bullshit, man! Am I gonna be the one that's gonna set him straight? Look at me, wrong!
As time is running out to reverse an apparent surge towards Brexit, a vote to leave the EU, Britain's fishermen, on at loggerheads with the EU, sailed up the Thames into London. A flotilla come to campaign, ramp up the Leave vote.
Nigel, you're a fraud.
Moments of drama. Organiser, leading Brexiteer Nigel Farage, incensed by the intrusion.
Disgusting. Rich people laughing at poor people. They're multi-millionaires.
If we want to protect our public services, we must vote to remain in the European Union.
Remain MPs from all round the country with easy questions. The question is anyone listening anymore?
ABC 7 News reporter Katie Marzullo spoke with the Woodside High School student attacked in that video and her mother, Katie.
Dan Amma, the student, and her parents tell me they are shocked that something like this could happen. She says all of her friends were posting their feelings and their thoughts on election night, but it looks like her post got her beat up. Cell phone video captures the moment a female student attacks sophomore Jade Armenia.
This girl comes up to me and she said, "Do you hate Mexicans?" And I was like, "No." And she said, "You support Trump. You hate Mexicans."
Jade says the girl hit her, threw her to the ground, and pulled out her earrings and her hair. She was left with a bloody nose and scratches and bruises. Jade's parents say they're keeping her out of school until they know she'll be safe.
Don't fall into the trap
okay? It's a trap. There's a lot of nonsense on television, on radio, on social media. There's a lot of nonsense that has the intention to divide us, okay? That's the plan. In order to conquer, you must divide, okay? I've told you guys this before in the past, and I want to make it clear again that we need to not go against each other. That's what they want. They want it to be Muslims versus Jews. They want it to be black versus white. They want it to be upper class versus lower class. Democrats versus Republicans. Forget that, man. Forget that. Because at the end of the day, we're all one. We're all part of the same family. We're all human beings. Okay?
I really don't think that Jim's mind is capable of accepting that the world doesn't work the way that, he was always told it works.
Okay, all right, for a minute, let's say that Aaron is right, okay? Let's say they're all right. It's all true. That there are these people that secretly run things. Then they've always run things. Okay? And they always will.
It's easy to turn you into me, but you don't want to be me.
Continue to conceal me. Hey, you're not people. You are people. They're watching you, they're monitoring you. Oh, you're listening to me. That must mean you are a psychopath.
What I always tell my friends online is it's not enough to stay within our group, to discuss these issues only within our own circles. We have to go out into the world.
I have spent my whole life scared, frightened of things that could happen. Might happen, might not happen. But you know what? Ever since my diagnosis, I sleep just fine. I came to realize it's that fear that's the worst of it. That's the real enemy. So, get up. Get out in the real world.
What is it specifically that you hope to achieve?
They need to know that I know. Right alone, as one man, I'm no threat. But what I am is an idea. What I am is the embodiment of an idea. And if it occurred to me, it will eventually occur to other people as well. And then there'll be 2 people in the street with megaphones. Then there'll be 10 people in the street with megaphones. Then there'll be 100 people.
But what if they're not even listening?
Are you listening?
Well, me personally, am I?
Yes, that's what matters. If you're listening. If they're listening. Are you listening?
Check this out. Right, you feeling that? I'll wait till the slap bass solo comes in. Ready? It's coming up. It's coming up now. Maybe it's on the other side. Here we are. It's coming now. This is it. Yeah. It's coming up. Just a little forward. It's coming up now. This is it now. Ready? Ready for this? That's not it. Just a minute. It's coming. Where's the next one? I always get confused because it sounds the same a little bit before and then it goes into the thing. It's coming. It's coming up. It's coming up. Oh! Feel the power of that. It's embarrassing. The thumb work. Oh! Ow! What's that?
2 trailer park girls go round the alley.
there is a Jewish mafia at the heart of the New World Order.
Trailer park girls go round the outside, round the outside, round the outside.
Hollywood is owned by the Arabs.
Guess who's back?
You're that stupid twit.
Back again.
You look like such a weak little punk. Take care, weakling. You little coward piece of crap. Hey, coward, I'm going to be in New York. You hear me, punk? No, fuck you. Fuck you. This is the real radio show, punk. You just go ahead and come up there, you little cowardly soft twit. I dare you to come up to me in New York, you little punk. You little weak punk.
All the banks are broke. And why are they broke? It isn't an act of God. It isn't some sort of tsunami. They're broke because we have a system called fractional reserve banking, which means that banks can lend money that they don't actually have. It's a criminal scandal, and it's been going on for too long. So when banks go broke through their own incompetence and chicanery, the taxpayer picks up the tab. It's theft from the taxpayer. And until we start sending bankers, and I include central bankers and politicians, to prison for this outrage, it will continue.
Hollywood is owned by the Arabs and the Israelis for some reason.
Fuck you, Devin! Now this looks like a job for me, so everybody just follow me, cause we need a little controversy, cause it feels so empty without me. I said this looks like a job for me, so everybody just follow me, cause we need a little controversy, cause it feels so empty without me.
Fuck you!
The globalists have got the power. What? The globalists have got the power.
They do. And what you're hitting around at is that the political Zionists absolutely, totally control the presidency in Washington. And it's even difficult to talk about on this show.
We do now, but
well, I mean, it's not true. People can say I'm a 14-foot tall, blood-drinking reptoid. What do you say about those who say you're handled by Zionists? Well, number one, it's not true. But number two, I do have Jewish friends, which people do grab and use, and I think that's really anti-Semitism. You're on the air. Go ahead.
You sent for me? Now this looks like a job for me, so everybody just follow me.
So that makes me a Zionist handled creature, then guilty as charged.
I said this looks like a job for me, so everybody.
You're a coward, and you're not going to be there, you little punk. Let him go. Okay, punk, I'll see you there.
We have to have a catalyst trigger. Stop global warming. Start global cooling. Make the world a giant icebox. Soon an incident like the Gulf of Tonkin or the Reichstag fire.
To ensure the safety of our fair city, did the mayor have a plan? No! Hey, just relax. I'll take care of this squealing, wretched, pinhead puppets of Gotham. I didn't say that. You gotta admit, I played this stinking city like a harp from hell. You gotta admit, I played this stinking city like a harp from hell. Now this looks like a job for me, so everybody just follow me, cause we need a little controversy, cause it feels so empty without me. I said this looks like a job for me, so everybody just follow me, cause we need a little controversy, cause it feels so empty without me.
There's a method to their madness. There's really not much method to yours.
because you're operating from a place of ignorance. And until you change that, you're going to be bumbling around, bumping into each other, saying and doing the wrong things, not understanding the nature of your enemy. And if you don't understand the nature of your enemy and the weapons they use, you cannot fight that enemy. You can't fight the battle. You shouldn't even be on the battlefield.
You have been supplied with a false idol to stop you tearing down this corrupt city. We take Gotham from the corrupt.
Is in bloom, the PR transmissions will resume. I try to push, try to keep us all down and hope that we will never see the truth around.
Chemicals in the water.
Another promise, another scene, another package like to keep us trapped in greed. Green belts wrapped around our minds, and endless red tape to keep the truth confined.
The oppressors of generations who have kept you down with myths of opportunity. And we give it back to you, the people.
Interchanging mind control, come at the revolution, take its toll. If you could flick a switch and open your third eye, you'd see that we should never be afraid to die. Rise up and take the power back. It's time the fat cats had a heart attack. You know that their time's coming to an end. We have to unify and watch our flag ascend.
Ridiculous. I'm in control now. It's over for the globalist. Break the conditioning now.
That is why I challenge you now. Stand together. Raise your fists together. Do it with courage and determination. I am somebody. I am somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody. I may be on welfare, but I am somebody. I may be unskilled, but I am somebody. I am black, beautiful, proud. I must be respected. I must be protected. What time is it? When we stand together, what time is it? When we say no more yes to vote, what time is it?
You want to fight? You're getting it. You will die.
Take this from me. No, you take it. I don't want it. If you don't take this from me, I'm going to do something awful with it. Take it.
Kubrick's understanding that there was an elite ruling class, the Illuminati, some choose to call them.
I think he was taken into the Illuminati, or whatever you want to call it, when he decided to help them fake the Apollo moon landings in early 1964. They offered him the chance of unlimited ability to make any film he wanted, something that no filmmaker has ever had before or after. Not even Spielberg has that kind of power. And I think that he was like the kid in the candy store at first. But I think he began to understand what the elites were really doing by, I believe, 1966, 67. I believe that when he changed the title from Journey to the Stars to 2001: A Space Odyssey, that was the turning point when he realized that the elites were not good people and they're actually evil people. Right. And he wanted to make sure that the year 2001 was indelibly stamped into our heads, so that when 2001 came along and the elites did their ultimate ritual murder, that we would remember his film. It should be pointed out that I think it's World Trade Center building number 6 is almost in the same exact dimensions as the Black Monolith. So one of the buildings in the World Trade Center looked like the Black Monolith.
Yeah. And when you get into 9/11 research, many researchers will tell you that that event was planned decades in advance. So it's perfectly plausible that in the 1960s there was full knowledge of what was to come all those years later. They do tend to plan ahead.
We know from, I believe it's called the Let's Roll Forum, which was a very good forum on 9/11. We know now that the World Trade Center really was not occupied at all during its 30 years that it was up, and which is odd and strange. Only the businesses near the ground were occupied. The building was largely empty the entire time until about 2 years before it went down, and suddenly they started putting leases and getting people into the building. Interestingly enough, a lot of the companies that signed those leases and entered into the building in 96, 97 are closely associated with the defense establishment and the economic establishment, Solomon Smith Barney and others. So what I'm suggesting is that possibly both Kubrick and Brooks, because of their associations with the New York mob, may have found out about the ritual way ahead of time and tried to warn us, both in this episode of Get Smart and in 2001: A Space Odyssey.
I'm going to explain to you that Leonard Cohen sang about 9/11 already in the 80s. He made this song, first we take Manhattan, then we take Berlin. And it's very clear that it's about 9/11. He later admitted himself that it's about terrorism. It's unbelievable that people don't get this. So I will explain it to you very simply, it's very clear. And hopefully you will wake up and understand what's going on. 9/11 is very important because it's the most important event in our history, in the history of the people who are alive now. You, me, 9/11. You can see it as a trap that is built. Then they made the NDAA, they changed it. You can see it as the trap that is set, because in the NDAA it's now that any American can be arrested without any charges and can be held by the government as long as they want. if something like 9/11 happens again. So when the next false terrorist attack happens, the trap shuts because the NDAA gets into effect and there's practically martial law. Anybody can be arrested without any charges. I mean, this is like communist Russia or Nazi Germany. This is really, really, really bad. It's really, really, really serious, and most people don't get it. Okay, we go to this song. First we take Manhattan, then we take Berlin. And Manhattan stands for the United States, Berlin stands for Europe. 9/11, that's for taking Manhattan, and the ESM, that's for taking Berlin. The ESM stands for the European Stability Mechanism. He gave some interviews, and they asked him, some people were suspicious, and they thought like, take Manhattan, take Berlin, beauty of our weapons, guided system, it's all a little bit strange. I mean, it's 100% clear, but he's honest. He says, this is a geopolitical plan. People have asked me what it means. It means exactly what it says. So you don't have to guess. Okay, he says in a concert, your hospitality is profound. People are always nice to him, cheering and so, but it will not detour me from my appointed task, which is to take Manhattan, then Berlin, and several other cities. He also said, and do with them what we please.
That it is the first time in history that fire has ever melted steel. I do believe that it defies physics for the World Trade Center Tower 7, Building 7, which collapsed in on itself. It is impossible for a building to fall the way it fell without explosives being involved. World Trade Center 7.
We were talking about Charlie Sheen and all the comments, and I just have to get your take. I mean, you seem a little blown away that he would come forward.
Well, it's impressive. I mean, it's impressive for somebody in any kind of high-profile position to challenge the government when you're getting average people, slandered for any kind of opposition.
Would you ever do something like that?
I probably wouldn't. I usually keep my politics to private conversations, but I appreciate the fact that he's prepared and coming out and saying this is something. And I like that he says, if you want to investigate anything, investigate the facts. Don't try and turn it around on me, which is what's been happening so much with this administration. Anybody who challenges anything with a reasonable challenge gets slandered and criticized.
But you don't think Bin Laden knock down the World Trade Center?
Absolutely not.
Come on.
I don't.
That's where you lose me.
I'd like to ask you about one of your views or perspectives that's raised a lot of controversy. Obviously, your sense of or your reaction to what happened 9/11 and your questions that you have about the events of that terrible day.
Well, I have a lot of questions. I think a lot of people have a lot of questions. I think 85 or 90% of the people in this country say, what? I mean, a plane hit this building and it fell kind of like that. Another plane hit that building and it fell kind of like that. About the same time it fell. This one fell the same way. Looked like an implosion somewhere, And then all of a sudden the third building fell and no plane hit it. So naturally I've got questions.
You're not going to hear from anybody else because my opinions, well, let's just say they're not popular. 9/11? Inside job, plain and simple. All you got to do is connect the dots. And I'm not talking about the dots everyone's already heard about. I'm not talking about Bush sitting in that school reading a book about a goat to those kids for 7.5 minutes after he was told to go. Everybody knows it. I am talking about a massive neoconservative government effort. It's been in the works for over 20 years. You ever hear of PNAC? Project for New American Century?
Perhaps.
Yeah, well, according to them, the end goal of their effort is American global domination. Full spectrum dominance, they call it. Now, the first question that pops to my mind is, how do you pull that off in this day and age? Well, according to them, you do it in 4 steps. First, we must control the world's oil, especially the oil in Central Asia and the Middle East. Now, I don't have to remind you that Bush Cheney, they came to power with plans already made to attack Afghanistan and Iraq. Number 2, we have to make huge technological advances with our armed forces that for some reason include the capability to fight wars from outer space. Number 3, surprise, surprise, huge increases in military spending to pay for the above, $130 billion a year worth. Now, never mind the sick and dying first responders, 9/11's heroes, who can't even pay their light bill, let alone their medical bills. And a lot of whom are ending up homeless because of it. I guess there's just not enough room in the budget for that. Number 4, and this is key, we changed the definition of preemptive attack. So we can unilaterally bomb the shit out of, invade, and occupy countries even if they pose no credible threat or have nothing to do with 9/11. One problem, how are you going to put it into action? I mean, the American people are never going to go for no shit like that, right? You damn straight. Now what you need is an event. An event that gets everyone's heads turned around the right way. What you need is a new Pearl Harbor. That's what they said they needed. And you're looking at a guy who went to 58 funerals in 26 days. I can tell you that is sure as shit what they got.
Monsanto, the world's most evil corporate monster, is now going to be acquired by Bayer, the Nazi-era war crimes chemical company that committed crimes against humanity. He writes that the price of this demonic acquisition that will spell doom for humanity, yes, a mere $66 billion. So, hey, it looks like, you know, they're in good company, right? That's all about killing people. Monsanto likes to kill farmers, right, with the seeds. So you bring them all together, and you just got a historic merger from the hell.
We're here, obviously, marching against something, and sometimes, you know, people get, you know, some kind of negative vibe that are seeing this. No, we're marching for positive things. We're marching against Monsanto, but we're marching for real food, an informed public, and people before corporations. We're marching against Monsanto today, but we're marching for consumers' right to know, our health, and organic farmers. We're marching against Monsanto today, but for healthy soil, biodiversity, and heirloom seeds. We're against Monsanto today, but we're for taking back our food, voting with your fork, and growing your own. We march against Monsanto, but we're here for a transparent USDA, FDA, and EPA. We march against Monsanto, but we march today for our kids and our future, because that's the most patriotic thing that we can do. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Be the media. Tell everybody where you were today. Thank you to Gabrielle Agachico for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. And finally, new rule: if you're one of the millions of Californians who voted against labeling genetically modified foods, you can't complain when it turns out there's horse meat in your hamburger and your sushi is made out of lost cats and condoms. You said you didn't want to know. Now lap that shit up. Yeah, it's been big news the last couple of weeks that the food supply is not what it appears to be. I hate to break it to you haute cuisiners, but did you know that your Chilean sea bass is neither Chilean, nor bass, nor from the sea? It's koi from the pond out front that the valet guys piss in. And your mahi-mahi is really made of mercury-drenched bottom feeders like tilefish that squirm along the ocean floor, eat feces, and occasionally provide legal representation for Donald Trump. All of which made me think about last year, when Californians rejected the GMO law, Prop 37, the one that said if food was genetically modified, it should just say so on the label. To which people said, no thanks. GMO? More like TMI. You know, folks, if we really don't want to know, why don't we take all the labels off entirely and replace them with just sugary shit, salty shit, and Cool Ranch shit with extra shit. And this is why I find it so strange that the idea of eating horse meat is freaking people out. It's not as if horses are more cuddly than cows. I mean, true, they'll let you sit on their backs, but cows allow you to yank on their titties. I'm just saying, if you're willing to eat an animal that'll let you get to second base, you'll eat anything. So enjoy eating your chemically processed crap now, America, because it won't be long before lunch is dung beetles and Soylent Green. And when all that runs out, I'm afraid it's Papa John's.
You've got a girlfriend?
Yeah, friends from me around the playground.
You're like real ants, forever kissing strangers.
You look like a girl with the long hair.
Long hair on a man can look very, very, I don't know, fancy.
You are a campaigner, yeah? I'm going to go back to the last question. Please let me finish.
Mate.
Stand. Stand for Parliament. If you're going to campaign, then stand! Okay, you want the media profile for it? Do it!
My problem would be, mate, I'd stand for Parliament, but I'd be scared that I'd become one of them. I know what side of the argument.
No, I'm sorry.
Russell Brand isn't waking people up, he's putting you back to sleep. It's always amazing to me how so many people who consider themselves to be awake still consider their beliefs being stated on the mainstream by a celebrity as being a higher accolade validation than any other outlet research or even their own convictions. Russell Brand is a pseudo-intellectual, overpaid middle-class media lovey who is put out there by the BBC and the New Statesman to make you forget all about the Jimmy Savile and to quell your anger in a delusional state that he is waking others up. Russell Brand is put on the TV screens to placate the ones already awake and to put you back to sleep in the belief that this is some kind of victory. It isn't. It is showbiz being used as a social engineering tool yet again. You do not need the BBC or Russell Brand to validate your convictions if you genuinely feel that strongly about them. The truth is already self-evident. No mainstream media, political or celebrity validation required. The Jimmy Savile horror show is the ultimate weapon we have in our arsenal, which we can wake people up with. The BBC knows this, and so do their owners and personal friends of Jimmy Savile, the royal family. So they throw you a truth bone in the form of celebrity. Platitude Prozac performance in the guise of Russell Brand talking about revolution when in reality it's about distraction. Do not be bought off with this rubbish. Keep the Jimmy Savile anger raging. It is the key to bringing the old pyramid down. Russell Brand's image is also very Christ-like, and this is still a very powerful archetype people are wooed by. Christ image was also utilised by CIA creation Jim Morrison to act as another Pied Piper for the anti-Vietnam War generation in the mid-late 1960s. This is the same tactic being used again. Forget your anger at the system. A celebrity will fight the revolution for you on the telly. Although this segment is being marketed as Paxman versus Brand, it should be really titled The BBC versus You Again.
I want to completely turn left field here. An unbroadcast section of a BBC radio interview you did in 1978 recently came to light, included on a Pill album. And you were talking about making a film where you kill famous people. Now, it's never been played on television before, but it has a particular relevance. Let's listen to this.
So who else is on the Goner list?
Oh, it's endless, believe me. I just want to make a film of it. On film, I'd like to kill Jimmy Savile. I think he's a hypocrite. I know some rumours. I bet none of this will be allowed out.
Sounds a bit harsh, the death list there.
Well, but actually,
sometimes you're contentious in life just because you're bored of that.
But put aside the rhetoric you were using. The fact that in 1978, at the height of the Sex Pistols explosion, there you are saying about Jimmy Savile, he was into all kinds of seediness that we all knew about. We weren't allowed to talk about it. I know some rumours. So you had heard the kind of thing that we now know about him, or stuff like that?
Yeah. No, I think most kids did too. Most kids wanted to go to the top of the pops, but we all knew what that cigar muncher was up to. But I'm very, very bitter that the likes of Savile and the rest of them were allowed to continue.
Did you ever try and do anything about Savile?
I did my bit. I said what I had to.
Did they air that? No. Just got suppressed?
Yeah.
For legal reasons?
Yeah.
Talk to me about it. Let go. Let go. What are you going to do about institutional child abuse operating in this country? What are you going to do about institutional paedophile rings that are operating in this country now? What are you going to do about institutional paedophile rings that are operating in this country now? Now!
Some very angry scenes there.
I've got godchildren.
Okay.
My children.
Okay.
My best mate manager's kids. My dear beloved friend Nicola, her daughter. She my godchild. So I like being
Russell, you still have to have sex.
so obedient. So obedient.
Can't you see I'm the Pied Piper? Trust in me, I'm the Pied Piper, and I'll show you where it's at. Girl, don't be scared to move. Hey, babe, what are you trying to prove? Hey, can't you see I'm the Pied Piper? Trust in me, I'm the Pied Piper, and I'll show you where it's at. Come on, babe.
The children can handle the fear.
I think there's a resurgence of anti-Semitism because at this point in time, Europe has not yet learned how to be multicultural. And I think we're going to be part of the throes of that transformation, which must take place. Europe is not going to be the monolithic societies that they once were in the last century. It's a huge transformation for Europe to make. They are now going into a multicultural mode, and Jews will be resented because of our leading role.
Hello, Colm. Out and about? I am. Same as yourself? Good, good. I hear you're a racist now, father. What? How did you get interested in that type of thing? Who said I'm a racist? Everyone's saying it, father. Should we all be racist now? What's the official line the church is taking on this? Oh, no. Only the farm takes up most of the day, and at night I just like a cup of tea. I'd like to be able to devote myself full time to the old racism.
Good for you, Father!
What? Oh, Mrs. Carberry.
Good for you, Father! But someone has the guts to stand up to them at last! Coming over here, taking our jobs and our women, and acting like they own a second place! Well done, Father! Good for you!
When we look around and we see today in our politics a rich white man telling working class white people that their problem is brown people, We need to understand the historical pedigree of that. That is symbolic of the entire history of race and class politics in America. The history of rich white people telling working class and poor white people that their problem are black and brown people. So beginning in the 1600s, that is what happened. Prior to about 1670 or so, there was no such thing as the white race, at least not recognized as such, called as such. That is not what people of European descent were when they were in Europe. They were English, they were Irish, they were Scottish, they were whatever they were. They were not white. Only in the colonies do we become white, and for a very specific reason, because in those early years of the colonial period, where you had white indentured servants, one level above enslaved themselves, and you had African-descended folks, some of them enslaved for life, others indentured servants also in the earliest years of the colonies. Those people would often see their interests as being common. They all realized that they were being screwed over by the same landowners, the same elite. And as a result, the elite in the colonies realized that they had to figure out a way to get the other folks from Europe on their team. So they created this mentality that said, you're now a member of the white race, you're on our team, you're wearing our uniform. Now you're at the end of the bench, you may not get in the game, but you're on our team, you see. So then they start putting white folks, now called, on the slave patrols, right? Didn't really give them any land or any real power except the power to control people of color, which is why folks of color say, and they are right, that modern policing traces to the system of slave patrols and slavery, and we have to be clear on that because that's the history, right? So whiteness was created to divide and conquer, to create the notion that even though you might not have much, at least you're not black, at least you're not indigenous, at least you're not Mexican, at least you're not Chinese working on the railroads to build the transcontinental economy.
The elite are to blame for the radicalization in Muslim culture because they sponsored controlled opposition terrorist organizations, which teach you to fight the elite by blowing yourself up and killing innocent civilians in the process. Like all religions, Islam is a control system, and can be used to manipulate people. Christianity, Islam and a few other religions are polarized religions. They are polarized against each other. One is believed to be good and the other is seen as bad. In most ways they are both bad. Polarized religions have been devised by influential elite leaders to play the people off against each other. That way the elite can defeat and enslave the population practically without lifting a finger. The churches don't permit their followers to have any real truth and knowledge because that would empower the people too much, so they spoon-feed them kiddie stories, half-truths, distortions and even lies. And the followers value it highly even though they must spend the rest of their lives just making sense of it.
It's great to take a day off every now and again. It shouldn't be just work, work, work now, should it? Yes, it's not as if everybody's going to go and join some mad religious cult just because we go off for a picnic for a few hours. Go and tell the herd about those cults. Everyone dressing in black and saying our Lord's going to come back and judge us all. No, Dougal. That's us, that's Catholicism. All right.
I haven't been able to speak at all. Why not? I felt like a social misfit. You look like one. And I felt like committing suicide.
You have the love of humanity in your hearts. You don't hate, only the unloved hate, the unloved and the unnatural. Soldiers, don't fight for slavery, fight for liberty. In the 17th chapter of St. Luke it is written, the kingdom of God is within man, not one man nor a group of men, but in all men, in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. I'm still waiting for the sound of them going on. What's gonna happen? I hear roads where people stop and ask me where the sun is gone. I tell them wait, it won't be long. Still it seems I'm always wrong. Still I sing the same old song. I'm still waiting for the sound.
The doctor will be with you shortly.
I see you're a little overweight.
A little. I have 50 pounds I'm willing to donate.
We can take care of that. No problem.
I take a couple uppers, I down a couple downers, but nothing compares to these blue and yellow purple pills. I've been to Mushroom Mountain once or twice, but who's counting? But nothing compares to these blue and yellow purple pills.
When people get vitamin D deficiency because of lack of sunlight, which then leads to people getting depression, which means they then have to be prescribed antidepressants sold at exorbitant rates to the NHS, paid for by taxpayers, but sold at exorbitant rates by multinational drug companies.
He's off on his charger. This time taking on the pharmaceutical companies, not content with bringing the Murdoch empire to its knees, he now turns his steely gaze to Nurofen.
It's not Nurofen. I'm talking about temazepam and diazepam. You know, the drug companies aren't interested in curing cancer. They just want to. They want to prescribe long-term medication for chronic illnesses because that's what lines the coffers of the shareholders. It's a cartel and conspiracy. They're no better than Colombian drug lords. Like that.
If you work for pharma, if you work for Pfizer, you could be a drug dealer all day, fam, and you could dress like this, or with a fucking suit. Go up to someone and say, hey, we're selling these particular pills, we have a special on this in the catalog, and people will cop, people buy. They're a pill to make people's hair grow back. They're a pill to make people pay attention when they can't pay attention. They're a pill to help people go to sleep. They're a pill to get your dick hard when you're fucking old man. There's a pill your eyesight comes back. It's a drug for everything.
I don't even think I'm sick. These guys are trying to fucking kill me. I want to go to the doctor. I gotta see this guy. What the fuck is happening? This medicine does not work. It makes it worse.
You're on diet pills, ain't you?
I told you, I'm going to a specialist.
That's what I thought. You make a croak up for speed, ain't you?
Harry, are you all right? I'm going to a doctor.
What does he give you, Ma? Does he give you pills?
Of course he gives me pills. He's a doctor.
What kind of pills?
A purple one, a blue one, an orange one.
Like what's in them?
Harry, I'm Sarah Goldfarb, not Albert Einstein. How should I know what's in it?
Does the stuff make you feel good, sorta, and give you lots of pep?
Yeah, a little.
A little? Ma, I can hear you grinding your teeth from here.
It goes away at night.
At night?
Yeah, when I take the green one. 30 minutes, I'm asleep. Poof, just like that.
Nah. You gotta cut that stuff loose. I'm telling you, it's no good.
What do you mean it's no good? 25 pounds I lost.
Big deal, so what? You wanna be a dope fiend for Christ's sake?
What is with the dope fiend? Am I foaming at the mouth or something? He's a nice doctor.
I am telling you, that croak was no good.
How come you know so much, huh? How come you know more about medicine than a doctor?
Believe me, Ma, I know. Alright? You'll get strung out for Christ's sake.
What seems to be the problem? The weight's doing fine.
The weight's fine. I'm not. The refrigerator.
Something wrong?
Everything's all mixed up. Confused.
That's nothing to worry about. Just get this filled. Make an appointment for a week.
Hobie had checked the town. The people were ready to believe. Like sheep, they ran toward the slaughterhouse. And waiting for them was the high priest of fraud.
I am the only one. Trust me. I can build a wall around your homes that nothing will penetrate.
What do we do? How do we save ourselves?
You ask, how do you build that wall? You ask, and I'm here to tell you.
You're a liar, Trump. There's not going to be any rain of fire.
Can you deny the meteorites will come? Can you deny the comet?
Well, it's not going to happen the way you say it is.
You're under arrest, Trump. What charge? Grand theft, fraud. I think a jury will find it stealing.
If I'm elected president, we will, and very quickly, make America great again.
I mean, he's so blatantly stupid. He's a punk, he's a dog, he's a pig, he's a con, a bullshit artist, a mutt who doesn't know what he's talking about, doesn't do his homework, doesn't care, thinks he's gaming society, doesn't pay his taxes. He's an idiot. Colin Powell said it best. He's a national disaster. He's an embarrassment to this country. It makes me so angry that this country has gotten to this point, that this fool, this bozo, has wound up where he has. He talks how he wants to punch people in the face. Well, I'd like to punch him in the face.
What?
This is somebody that we want for president? I don't think so. What I care about is the direction of this country. And what I'm very, very worried about is that it might go in the wrong direction with someone like Donald Trump. If you care about your future, vote for it.
There's been a lot of videos made on the subject of Back to the Future in the connection with 9/11, as shown here. Twin Pines Mall and the 9/11 upside down on the clock. I read this on the Daily Beast. This is an article dating back to October 21st, 2015. Of course, a reference to Back to the Future in that timeline. And what I find very interesting states here in this article, the film's architect, Bob Gale, and of course, architect in the connection with Freemasonry, states Biff Tannen is based on Donald Trump. They are one and the same. When you look at what's going on today in the news with Donald Trump, going back in time a little bit, last year where Putin warns Donald Trump of an assassination plot.
Trump and Putin are not against the New World Order. The same people that claim this nonsense also believe Russia Today to be a legitimate activist channel. Launched in 2005, Russia Today is a 24/7 English-language news channel funded by the Kremlin and can be found on most satellite packages. The station features typical mainstream news headline coverage, talk shows like Crosstalk consisting of people from big establishment NGOs and think tanks, and tourist documentaries of Russia. But bizarrely, in the midst of this coverage are carefully tailored segments of activism. Explore RT's YouTube channel and you will find interviews with Daniel Eschilin on the Bilderberg Group, former soldier Ken O'Keefe on why he has renounced his U.S. citizenship on the account of human rights abuses. Webster Tarpley rails against CIA terrorist patsies. Architects for 9/11 truth suggest 9/11 was an inside job. Alex Jones says free speech in the U.S. is under fire, and Ron Paul outlines his desire to take constitutional America back. A lot of the content focuses on financial scandal and the imminent collapse of the U.S. financial system. This is epitomized by RT flagship show The Kaiser Report featuring Max Kaiser. Max is very well versed in the financial scams ripping the U.S. apart, and he explains it in a concise and entertaining way, but he only goes so far, blaming the problems on the greed of Wall Street and individuals like Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner. Kaiser is an example of what RT does in general, reinforces the paradigm of warring nation-states, rather than an international agenda orchestrating events. The aim is to stop the public understanding the international power structure. Another role of controlled opposition is to discredit intelligence. RT ticks this box by portraying legitimate activism as Russian state propaganda. With the US and Russian elite working together, the US and Soviet Union have always colluded at the highest level, and this hasn't changed with present-day Russia. Just don't expect RT to tell you that.
Got a name?
Trump.
I bet it fits. Your name is Trump? How long are you gonna let this con man walk around town? Be careful, son. I can sue you. How about it, Sheriff? When are you gonna put the lid on? You hear about Trump? Yes, sir. What are you gonna do about him?
What do you want me to do?
Stop him.
From what?
From taking the town.
Recent reports suggest that the Roberts campaign has been behind the leak of the story regarding yourself and a teenage campaign worker.
That is a lie.
Mr. Roberts.
The whole thing is a lie. I've already explained that the girl in question is a close friend of my granddaughter, and I was driving them both home. As for Bob Roberts, I could imply guilt by association, which I think you would like me to do, but I won't, because I do not believe, and I have never believed, in negative campaigning.
Ladies and gentlemen, why can't you get ahead? Why can't you have the home of your dreams? The fast car, a nice vacation.
Let's tackle the homeless problem. Let's tackle child care, health care.
Why has your American dream been relegated to the trash heap of history? I'll tell you why. Because of the wasteful social programs of Brickley Paste.
Let's put people back to work, create jobs, encourage industry. I can see a brighter future, but we have to work hard and, dare I say it, sacrifice.
And I remind the public that Brickley Paste still has not told us how he will vote on the use of force in the Persian Gulf.
We need a strong America, dedicated to issues that matter.
Let's cut taxes. Let's make it possible for the working man to keep the money he earns.
Because that is what politics is really about.
Thank you for your vote.
Man, just look how happy he is.
Is going to go down the pan.
Listen,
and you
the whole of the world is on WTO tariffs, just in case you haven't noticed.
No, not in the EU, so we're not.
Okay. You are on WTO. The EU itself is on WTO.
The internal market is not.
The EU is on WTO tariffs.
We're just going to... When we sell to France, we're not on
the whole of Europe selling to America, to the Far East.
We're going to have to leave it now.
Government inside the European Union, unless you are within the WTO rules.
You're talking nonsense.
Someone I know told me something about 3 years ago in 2014. He told me that the Illuminati/elite/globalists, or whatever you want to call them, in the future will plan for people around the world to rebel against this globalist NWO, cause uprisings and remove these corrupt leaders. But the new leaders that will come to power will also be controlled by the elite.
Hey there everybody, welcome to another episode of Stand Ground Studio. This is Scott, and today I need to talk about the Brexit scenario because this is obviously a huge event, and this is something that's, I think, tripping a lot of people up because this is the narrative taking a big step forward, but it zigged when everyone thought it would zag, and it's kind of got everyone discombobulated. So we need to talk about a bunch of issues. So first things first, this is not a victory against the globalist agenda. I know there's a lot of people out there claiming that. There's an obvious divide and conquer strategy playing out here. There's a sharp divide going on because for every issue there can't be consensus. Everyone has to be divided on it, and everyone has to be increasingly digging in on their emotional beliefs on every topic. Throughout the news stories I've been scanning, there's a public outcry for people to take back their national sovereignty. There's this resurgence in nationalism, and there's this isolationist view that's suddenly popping up out of nowhere, at least in the media. And numerous times I saw it referred to as an upcoming Independence Day, which alludes to that revolution that I keep mentioning. So for a lot of people, it's starting to look like the elite are losing control of their corrupt system. But this is sitting on a bedrock of rampant security and economic issues that are waiting to go off like a powder keg. And all of a sudden, the mainstream media is all too willing to admit that we probably have a recession on our hands because of this event. And that is a giant red flag because I've been waiting for this to happen. So now that we have an event to blame, we can start admitting that maybe we're facing a financial crisis. So every news thread that will lead to the perfect storm just took a big step forward. All those news threads are becoming more entangled than ever. There's a 50-50 split of opinion on nearly every topic, And it looks like we're going to expose the global elite very soon. Even the mainstream media is hinting at it. In other words, this is the next step towards everything I've been talking about. It's a very dangerous one, too. But you should start to feel how none of it really seems all that organic. To me, it feels staged, and you can tell me how you feel by the time we get through this.
I'm like, why is America mirrored England in the sense of Brexit and elections? I'm thinking to myself, what's caused it? What problem, reaction, solution? The elite are a little bit like stumped by it, but has it all been staged? Quite possible, isn't it? But this whole thing to me is like a circus act now. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, well, hold on. It's mirrored. Brexit is mirrored America. And now people on the streets arguing over nothing. What are you arguing about? The conquer and divide is working. And you conquer and divide a race and a nation of people, they don't stick together. And then you've got chaos. Well, the New World Order and the Illuminati government like to create order out of chaos. We all know this. So please, people, start fucking uniting with you and stop arguing about pointless bullshit. You know, it's a distraction. It's a distraction.
You know, Morris, there is going to be a pre-designed collapse that I've known about for the better part of almost 14 years. I've known about it. But it's been in the planning stages for over 120 years. You know, the European Union was not put together to survive. It was intentionally structured so that it would fail. And that was done from the very inception of this monetary union. It seems to me now, knowing what I know, that this whole experiment was put together to fail, because at the time of their choosing, and we're in that time now.
German outlets. One of Germany's biggest broadcasters, ZDF, has been exposed using inaccurate pictures when covering the Ukrainian crisis. This image was used to illustrate a story claiming Russian tanks invaded Ukraine. The media monitoring organization in Germany noticed the image, checked it, and it turned out that the pic was from 2009. It's not Ukraine, it's South Ossetia. Well, the group filed an official complaint. This picture, they say, makes people believe the news of a so-called Russian invasion the outlet was trying to sell. It was taken as real when clearly it wasn't. The group says that ZDF move is intentionally deception of their audience. So they know they lie, they admit they lie, and they continue to do so, hoping that no one checks. But we do, and you should too.
It was just a misunderstanding. He didn't do anything.
You're such a little lapdog.
He's got killer printed all over his forehead.
Oh, God!
Really? Why'd the cops let him go, smart guy? Because obviously they don't watch enough movies. This is standard horror movie stuff. Prom Night Revisited, man. I think it's fun. Why can't they find their pops, man? Because he's probably dead. His body will come popping up in the last reel somewhere. Eyes gouged out, fingers cut off, teeth knocked out. See, these are always on track with this shit. If they watch Prom Night, they'd save time. There's a formula to it. A very simple formula. Everybody's a suspect. Stop right there. Shoot it to me. I found Anderson dead. I think you know it. Stay back. Who did it? It's you, Billy. Shoot my dude. No, I didn't. Please give me that gun! Give me that gun, guys, man! No, I didn't! No, I didn't, Sid! He did it! He did it, Cindy! Please, I didn't do it! He did it, please! Please, Cindy, no! Fuck you both! Please. Oh, God! Coming out!
I really, really hope there isn't a war. It's going to be a nightmare. It's bad enough having to cope with the fucking Olympics.
Minister!
This is your chance to nail the line. Do you want to nail the line?
No. I'll freestyle it.
Wait.
Hello there, hi.
So, is war unforeseeable, Minister?
Look, all sorts of things that are actually very likely are also unforeseeable. For the plane in the fog, the mountain is unforeseeable, but then it is suddenly very real and inevitable. Right.
Is this your opinion, or is this the government position?
The mountain in the metaphor is a completely hypothetical mountain that could represent anything.
Sorry, Minister, I'm unclear. What the mountain?
What I'm saying is that to walk the road of peace, sometimes we need to be ready to climb the mountain of conflict. Thank you so much.
You'll be climbing the mountain alone, Minister.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's it, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Fuck. Why didn't we nail the line?
Simon, I did try to warn you.
Yes, you tried to warn me, but you didn't actually stop me, did you? You just like shouting some train at somebody as they get hit by a train. You should go, train, there's a fucking train!
The reason I'm here is to help you so that my death will not be in vain. That my life's work will help save some other poor soul from getting killed. If this killer does come back, and he's for real, there are a few things that you gotta remember. Is this simply another sequel? Well, if it is, same rules apply. But here's the critical thing. If you find yourself dealing with an unexpected backstory and a preponderance of exposition, then the sequel rules do not apply. Because you are not dealing with a sequel. You are dealing with the concluding chapter of a trilogy. That's right. It's a rarity in the horror field, but it does exist. And it is a force to be reckoned with. Because true trilogies are all about going back to the beginning and discovering something that wasn't true from the get-go. Godfather, Jedi, all revealed something that we thought was true that wasn't true. So if it is a trilogy you are dealing with, here are some super trilogy rules. 1, you got a killer who's going to be superhuman. Stabbing him won't work, shooting him won't work. Basically, in the third one, you got to cryogenically freeze his head, decapitate him, or blow him up. Number 2, anyone, including the main character, can die. This means you, Sid. I'm sorry. It's the final chapter. It could be fucking Reservoir Dogs by the time this thing is through. Number 3, the past will come back to bite you in the ass. Whatever you think you know about the past, forget it. The past is not at rest. Any sins you think were committed in the past are about to break out and destroy you. So in closing, let me say, good luck, Godspeed, and for some of you, I'll see you soon. Because the rules say some of you ain't gonna make it. I didn't. Not if you're watching this tape.
My name is Montague William III, and what I will tell you may well sound absurd, but the less you believe it, the better for me. For you see, I'm in banking and big industry. For many a year we have controlled your lives, while you all struggle and suffer in strife. We created the things that you don't really need, your sports cars and fashion, plasma TVs. I remember it clearly how all this begun. Family secrets from father to son, inherited knowledge that gives me the edge, while you people lie sleeping at night in your beds. These things that won't matter when your time is done.
Wakey, wakey! Raise and shake! This is your 9 o'clock alarm call!
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature, and you will atone.
Hey, now what's the big deal? I can't see the difference between that and this anyway.
You don't see the difference. The difference is that I grew it. That's what the difference is. That I picked it and I fixed it. And it has a taste and it has some color. And it has a smell. How can you guys sit there and really say anything to me about this? Look at this crap. Look at that. Dry synthetic crap. And you've become so dependent on it that I bet you can't even live without it. But you know what else there is no more of, my friend? There is no more beauty. And there's no more imagination. And there are no frontiers left to conquer. You know why? Only one reason why. One reason why. The same attitude that you three guys are giving me right here in this room today. And that is, nobody cares.
You know what I want you to do? Get a couple of guys to dig a hole in the desert, then let them show you where it's at.
Angelo and Buster.
Yeah, but I'm not sure yet.
We'll do it.
And when I'm ready, I'll say the words, go see the Jew, and you make it disappear, you know what I mean?
How do you like it? They tell you all the time what to do, what to think, what to feel. Do you want to be like a cheap? Like all those other people, man?
I don't have to listen to this bullshit.
Do you want to work 8, 10 fucking hours? You own nothing? You got nothing? Do you want a Giovanni on every corner, man, looking after you, watching everything you do, everything you say, man?
They gotta know it's something.
Who?
The public. They gotta know. Yes. Steve, get with us. Wake up, Mr. Brady.
The art is for me to feed pieces to you and make you believe you took those pieces because you're smarter and I'm dumber. In every game in con, there is always an opponent and there is always a victim. The more control the victim thinks he has, the less control he actually has. Gradually he will hang himself, and I as the opponent just help him along.
So, that the treasure formula?
Formula has infinite depth in its efficacy and application, but it is staggeringly simple and completely consistent. Rule 1 of any game or con. You can only get smarter by playing a smarter opponent.
Rule number 2.
The more sophisticated the game, the more sophisticated the opponent.
The opponent is very good. He will place his victim inside an environment he can control.
The bigger the environment, the easier to control. You toss the dog a bone, find their weakness, give them just a little of what they think they want.
Check.
So the opponent simply distracts their victim by getting them consumed with their own consumption. Check.
Word snake snakes.
Don't knock it. You only get smarter by playing a snake. The bigger the trick, and older the trick, the easier it is to pull. Less than 2 principles. They think it can't be that old. They think it can't be that big. So many people to fall for it. Eventually, when the opponent is challenged or questioned, it means the victim's investment, thus his intelligence, is questioned. No one can accept that. Maybe to themselves.
Really understand sometimes what a terrible burden it is to know some of the things that I know. We try and wake people up and impart this knowledge to them. We find out that they just have walls built in front of them. They want to be slaves.
You know, Maria, I sometimes wonder if we'll ever discover the meaning of it all, working in a place like this.
I've worked in worse places, philosophically speaking.
Really, Maria?
Yes. I used to work in the Académie Française, but it didn't do me any good at all. And I once worked in the library in the Prado in Madrid, but it didn't teach me nothing, I recall. And the Library of Congress, you'd have thought, would hold some key, but it didn't. And neither did the Bodleian Library. In the British Museum, I hoped to find some clue. I worked there from 9 till 6, read every volume through, but it didn't teach me nothing about life's mystery. I just kept getting older, it got more difficult to see, till eventually my eyes went and my arthritis got bad. So now I'm cleaning up in here. really sad. Cause you see, I feel that life's a game. You sometimes win or lose. And though I may be down right now, at least I don't work for Jews.
I'm so sorry. I had no idea we had a racist working here. I apologize most sincerely. I mean, whoa.
Now, if that isn't a hazard to this country, how are we going to keep building nuclear weapons? You know what I mean? What's going to happen to the arms industry when we realize we're all one? It's going to fuck up the economy. The economy that's fake anyway. See why the government's cracking down on the idea of experiencing unconditional love.
So there, we have figured it out. Go back to bed, America. Your government has figured out how it all transpired. Go back to bed, America. Your government is in control again. Here's American Gladiators. Watch this. Shut up. Go back to bed, America. Here's American Gladiators. Here is 56 channels of it. Watch these pituitary retards bang their fucking skulls together and congratulate you on living in the land of freedom. Here you go, America. You are free to do as we tell you. You are free to do as we tell you. Oh, good. Honey, I've heard on the news that they figured out that the gun, what happened is that there's an echo and that Kennedy was asking Jackie what it was, and that's why his head flew up. Honey, what time's Gladiators on? Are we missing it? Free yourself, folks. If you see a piece of shit, say it and walk away. You're right. You're right. Not those fuckers who want to tell you how to think. You're fucking right.
Learn something?
Yes, I do.
What, you want me to teach you something? You want to learn something? All right, here's a useful lesson for you. Give up. Just quit. Because in this life, you can't win. Yeah, you can try. But in the end, you're just going to lose big time because the world is run by the man. Who? The man. Oh, you don't know the man? Well, he's everywhere. In the White House, down the hall, Miss Mullins, she's the man. And the man ruined the ozone, and he's burning down the Amazon, and he kidnapped Shamu and put her in a chlorine tank, okay? And there used to be a way to stick it to the man. It was called rock and roll. But guess what? Oh, no. The man ruined that, too, with a little thing called MTV! So don't waste your time trying to make anything cool or pure or awesome, because the man's just going to call you a fat, washed-up loser and crush your soul. So do yourselves a favor and just give up!
We're staying here! Yeah! What was I thinking going back to Antarctica? I mean, we just got here, and we have more than enough food to get us through the winter, right? Why go back?
There was that ant that stood up to me.
Yeah, but we can forget about him. Yeah, it was just one ant. One ant. You're right. It's just one ant. Yeah, boys, they're puny. Puny? Say, let's pretend this brain is a puny little ant. Did that hurt? Nope. Well, how about this one? Are you kidding? How about this?
I don't like people much. I get on better with animals.
You don't like people much?
Well, I like people, but I don't get on with them very well.
Oh, you haven't? May I be permitted to see it?
No, I wanted to feed the birds.
Fiddlesticks, boy. Feed the birds, and what have you got? Fat birds.
Noisy people seem to get on, you know. Although they're there. Like at school you get noisy people play up and that. And they always seem to get on better and I don't know, they just...
Do you think you have to have push in this world then?
Yes, I do. I think it's hard luck on anybody who's, you know, quiet or can't get on. Really, you have to be fairly, you know, have a lot of push and cheek about you.
I'll answer the question. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth! We use words like honor, code, loyalty. We use these words as the backbone of a life spent defending something. You use them as a punchline. I would rather you just said thank you and went on your way. Otherwise, I suggest you pick up a weapon and stand a post. Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you are entitled to.
No wonder you've got an energy crisis your side of the water. Us British. We used to have a bit more vitality, imagination, touch of the Dunkirk spirit, know what I mean? The days when Yanks could come over here and buy up Nelson's collar, an Harley Street surgeon, and a couple of windmill girls are definitely over. Now look, shut up, you little streak of paralysed piss. What I'm looking for is someone who can contribute.
They've just not got a clue. They don't know. 35 years, you'll people like that refuse to be bed. Oh no, sorry, you've got to go home to die. There's no room for you. Oh, fuck them all. He wants the war. He's got a war.
I don't want you to protest, I don't want you to riot, I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
Peace the bees. State of God, Minotaur.
Drugs. Why do kids take drugs? Because they're awesome. No, maybe they just understand that life is pain, and if you smoke something or take a pill, it'll go away for a while. I'll drink to that. Do. No. People say embrace life, enjoy life. Just do it, live it, rock it. Fuck it, because life is horrible. You know, I may not be so happy-go-lucky, but I'm a realist. Get ready to have your dreams dashed, kids, because nothing's going to work out the way you think it's going to. Gin. By the way, this stuff's poison.
can't help anyone.
Buzz, are you okay?
Gone! It's all gone. All of it's gone. Bye-bye. Who's here?
What happened to you?
One minute you're defending the whole galaxy, and suddenly you find yourself sucking down Darjeeling with
Marie Antoinette and her little sister. I think you've had enough tea for today. Let's get you out of here, Buzz.
Don't you get it?
Snap out of it, Buzz!
I'm sorry. You're right. I am just a little depressed. That's all. I can get through this.
Bloody hell.
Oh, friendly.
What are you doing here? You look like shit.
Just trying to blend in with the surroundings.
Bonjour.
What's going on? What are you doing here?
Well, you see, I was over here like this, but that didn't really work for me, so I thought I'd try it over here. But I don't think there's much future in this one either. Fucking hell. Have you got any suggestions?
Nope.
Cheer up, Brian. You know what they say? Some things in life are bad. They can really make you mad. Other things just make you swear and curse. When you're chewing on life's gristle, don't grumble, give a whistle. And this'll help things turn out for the best. Aye. Always look on the bright side of life.
Walking out, letting them get the best of you.
Always look on the light side of life.
Don't quit till you got nothing left.
If life seems jolly rotten, there's something you've forgotten. And that's to laugh and smile and dance and sing.
Got too far!
When you're feeling in the dumps, don't be silly chumps. Just purse your lips and whistle, that's the thing. And always look on the bright side of life.
Don't quit him! You buried them! Keep running!
Always look on the right side of life.
You're gonna work harder than you ever worked before.
For life is quite absurd, and death's the final word. You must always face the curtain with a bow.
Failure is not an option.
Forget about your scene. Give the audience a grin. Enjoy it. It's your last chance anyhow. So always look on the bright side of death.
We can break this army here.
Just before you draw your terminal breath.
If you would be free, man.
Life's a piece of shit when you look at it. Life's a laugh and death's a joke, it's true.
Hate! Hate!
You'll see it's all a show. Keep 'em laughing as you go. Just remember that the last laugh is on you.
Fulfill that promise!
And always look on the bright side of life.
Give me your back! Don't quit! No! Keep going!
Always look on the right side of life.
And they will know what we can do!
Always look on the bright side of life.
Let no man forget how menacing we are. We are lions.
Always look on the right side of life. First things happen to see, you know. Always look on the right side. What you got to lose? You know, you come from nothing, you're going back to nothing. What you lost? Nothing. Look on the right side of life. Nothing will come from nothing, you know what I say? Cheer up, you old bugger. Give us a grin. There you are. See? It's the end of the film. Incidentally, this record's available in the foyer. Someone's got to live as well, you know. Who do you think pays for all this rubbish? Always look on make the money back, you know. I told him. I said to him, Bernie, I said, they'll never make that money back. Always look on the right side of life.
And what happens afterwards? The same fucking thing starts all over again.
Come
when was the last time you saw a doctor? Actually, I went to see a child psychologist recently. And how did that go? It was shit. He was only 7. So how are we feeling this week? Well, actually, I got stung by a bee yesterday. Yes? It's 20 quid for a jar of honey. I couldn't believe it. Then I went bobsleighing and killed 20 bobs. Tell me, have you been taking any drugs? But it's funny you should mention that, because I went to a dyslexic rave, and it was brilliant. Loads of people taking F. And there's a bloke in the corner who was trying to inject a heroin. He's a smock addict, apparently. And is this a regular occurrence? Well, I got stoned last night. I told this Palestinian bloke the West Bank belongs to Israel. Quite a comedian, aren't you? Yes. I did a show recently in an old people's home. I don't know if it was any good, but they pissed themselves anyway.
So we had Brexit. People are saying after Brexit that British people don't trust experts anymore. I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is that British people have strong opinions based on nothing at all. Strong opinions. Strong opinions on very little information, because we're a decadent society. It's exactly the same thing that happened to the ancient Romans, probably. I've never really bothered to find out. There's this element to anti-refugee racism. People say, oh, ISIS are sending agents disguised as refugees. ISIS are infiltrating Britain as refugees. That's not happening, and I can prove that it's not happening, because ISIS recruit people from here to go and fight in Syria, to go and fight in Iraq. Why would they be sending anyone? Do you think someone's phoning up ISIS tomorrow going, all right, mate, I could nip down to London tomorrow and do a bit of terrorism? No! You come here! Ahmed will do the terrorism! Ahmed is currently clinging to a mattress in the middle of the Mediterranean! Ahmed will do the terrorism! It's no bother, mate. I can get a day return on the megabus. No! You come here! Through several strict border and security checks! Ahmed will do the terrorism! Ahmed is currently on a raft made out of old 7-Up bottles! He's fighting off sharks with a Vileda super mop! Ahmed is our top agent! And it's vital that he spends the next 5 years in a refugee camp, living out a real-life version of the Hunger Games, where the first prize is a sandwich!
I've always felt slightly undereducated. You know, I've always been at a disadvantage. I left Bovington Gurney with a 2-2 in performing arts and a City and Guilds in falconry. So, felt slightly disadvantaged. I've always tried to better myself. Brief history of time, right. How can time have a history? Surely history is time, isn't it? And time is history, and time is an unbroken chain stretching off into the future, back into the past. And how can such a thing be brief if it is infinite? And I thought to myself, I can't even get past the time. So I put it to one side, read a bit of Tom Clancy. Now, I don't know if you've only read any Tom Clancy. It's a little bit easier to read. Although he does have a very, very coherent world philosophy. And that is good versus evil. Evil seems to get the upper hand. Good triumphs with vastly superior automatic weapons. Okay. So I put it to one side. Too exciting, really. And back to walking. Now, what he's describing is so vast, it's almost too much for the human brain to get your head round. He's talking about the size of our planet and the size of the star, and the fact that our star, the sun in our solar system, is one of 100,000 million other stars that make up the galaxy, and this galaxy is one of 100,000 million other galaxies that make up the universe. Now that is a billion things by page 2. That's too many things. I can't think of a billion things. Billion? I don't even know where I left my keys half the time. Billion. This is a I was getting in the book. I was getting really bogged down with it, and I thought, well, maybe I'm reading this book the wrong way. Maybe I'm approaching it completely the wrong way. I'm looking at it like it's a scientific textbook. I should maybe come at it from an oblique angle. Maybe look at it like it's a novel or something. So I take it to a meadow with a dandelion. Pretend it's a bit of lightweight melodrama or something, Bit of Jane Austen, for example. Ah, Mr. Knightley, I am confused and not a little annoyed. It seems that even non-rotating black holes create and emit particles at a steady rate. Oh, tush and fie, Emma. Quantum mechanics tells us the particles are created just outside the black hole's event horizon. Oh, Mr. Knightley, my synapses are shutting down.
Somewhat successfully established my press credentials, and because you and I have at least one thing in common, which is that all of us deal with language all the time, I thought it might be nice today for me to come to you with some of my language complaints. Certainly not to blame them on you, although of course you are implicated. And not that you can help it. I mean, the problem is really with the people you cover. The politicians, the celebrities, the lawyers, and although their level of insincerity is astonishing, it's still kind of fun to hear them talk. In particular, it's fun to listen to Washington talk. Whenever the issue of term limits comes up, I always tell people the only term limits I'm interested in would be to limit some of the terms used by politicians. They speak, of course, with great caution because they must take care not to actually say anything. Proof of this, according to their own words, is that they don't actually say things, they indicate them. As I indicated yesterday, and as the president indicated to me, but sometimes they don't indicate, they suggest. Let me suggest, as I indicated yesterday, I haven't determined that yet. See, they don't decide, they determine. If it's a really serious matter, they make a judgment. I haven't made a judgment on that yet. When the hearings are concluded, I will make a judgment, or I might make an assessment. I'm not sure. I haven't determined that yet. But when I do, I will advise you. They don't tell, they advise. I advised him that I had made a judgment. Thus far, he hasn't responded. They don't answer, they respond. He hasn't responded to my initiative. An initiative is an idea that isn't going anywhere.
Big Brother's Big Mouth, whatever, it's on E4, and they have experts on. Sociologists, psychologists, psychiatrists, and they provide expert insight into and expert analysis of the phenomena of some twats in a place. And this program's hosted by Russell Brand, and what it meant when the bad racism happened, it meant that Russell Brand was contractually obliged to look meaningfully into the camera, making a serious face, and to condemn racism in the strongest terms possible, whilst dressed as a cartoon pirate. Before going back to his ongoing life's work of thinking up cutesy, diminutive Mr. Men names for his own penis. Mr. Winky, Mr. Dinky, Mr. Dingle Donkey Dinky, Winky Wookie Woo One. And the way that Russell Brand thinks up cutesy, diminutive Mr. Men names for his own penis makes him sound like a child molester who is trying to convince himself to allow himself to molest himself. And when Martin Luther King saw racism in 1960s America, Martin Luther King called it out in the strongest, most visionary, eloquent terms possible. Martin Luther King said, "I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the colour of their skin, but by the content of their character." Martin Luther King. And when Russell Brand saw racism in his place of work, Big Brother, Russell Brand said, "Ooh, there's been some bad racism and stuff going down today. And no mistake. My liege. It's made Mr. Winky go right small, it has. Oh yes it has. Oh yeah. And my ball bag, my old ball bag, has only gone up my bum. Here's H from Steps.
But anyway, I'm listening to talk radio shows these days, and everyone, you know what Rush said about NAFTA? You know, Rush is talking about NAFTA. I heard Rush the other day say about NAFTA. What are y'all looking for, a new dad? Grow the fuck up. Take responsibility for your fucking lives. What do you think about NAFTA, man? I'll tell you what I think. The cocksucking elite who own and run everything in this fucking country are selling it out from under us tomorrow. There ain't no battle over fucking NAFTA. That's a fucking charade. Like our elections are a fucking charade. And tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, they're selling your fucking life out from under you. Don't you ever fucking forget it either. But anyway. And they said, you know, they had to break down the compound because child abuse was stepping up. Well, if that's true, how come we don't see Bradley tanks knocking down Catholic churches? You know, I mean, if, in fact, child abuse is your concern. Actually, folks, I don't know if any of y'all have seen this. There's a tape kind of bootleg going around of showing film of the Bradley tanks not knocking, as the official story was, small holes to insert tear gas, but crashing the building off of its fucking foundation and fire shooting out of the tanks. The FBI and the ATF are liars and murderers, and Janet Reno and President Clinton either A, knowingly passed on a lie, or B, are so out of touch with their own fucking arms of their government that they're incompetent and Clinton should be impeached immediately. Case fucking closed. And y'all have probably seen the footage, but it's sort of different than the official story, isn't it? Small holes, tear gas, giant holes, flamethrowers. They burn these people in their homes. Okay, that's our government. Okay. I've seen the tape, and it's fucking real. Make your own conclusions. You haven't seen it, so it's, you know, whatever. But old Clinton, you know, I have no illusions about these cocksuckers. I know there's 12 guys who run the fucking world, and they own every company, and, you know, it's fact. You can look it up. I'm not a conspiracy nut. This is all on paper. There really are 22 families who run and own 50% of the mainstream media, which is where we get our news. And it's true. It's a fact. You can look it up. I don't, you know, I can't be this big of an asshole without having the truth to back me up. Otherwise, I'd be a fucking nut doing this. But see, if you have the truth with you, you can do this.
It's meant to be entertainment, I don't know, but you know what's important? Time's passed, and at the end of it, people go, oh, something happened.
Is there anything that you couldn't say that about?
No, I guess not, but...
Have you been reduced to that? Well, that's your defence for everything. Time's passed, and at the end of it, you say something happened. You can't use that as the defence. No, you said that.
I know, well, I think that, you know, people would be hard-pressed to say that the money's been wasted, because you can see
it seems you're drunk. I don't know what you're saying. I don't understand.
Words of me. There's a man's been speaking. Look, a man was speaking. He saw him from
angles, some angles.
Yeah. And you know, then
and it can't be said not to have happened.
So
I don't know why you would put that
some
forward.
Music came on at the end. It's finished now. They can't say that. They can't say that nothing happened, because you can see it did.
All right. Okay. It's fine. It did.
They can say it wasn't any good.
And
I just don't. I resent the idea that it was people's time has been wasted. It hasn't.